I'm going to give it a few minutes. It's like 2 minutes till. So like to let people get in the chat and be here. But hi, if you're here already. And if you're watching this on the playback, this was a live stream, and I'm going to do my best to leave timestamps in the description box for all the relevant information, so check that out. But if you're live, then you can just hang out and talk with me. It is 9:59 now. Let's get hydrated. I have not yet even decided on a name for this show. I feel like this needs to be a show, like, I don't know, I need a title. I'm not organized, obviously, y'all. Is it 10 o'clock yet? Nope, still like 9:59. We haven't officially started yet. Oh, like 9:59. We haven't officially started. It's not that much of a lag. All right, now I'm in the chat. I'm excited about tonight. So what am I looking at back here? Let's adjust my little. That's better. Oh, it's 10 o'clock. Okay, so we're officially starting. And I don't know if there are people in the chat, but I'm going to kind of babble on for a few minutes to let people get here. Tonight is, oh my God, excuse me. Tonight in the crafting live stream, welcome to the crafting live stream. My name is Michelle from Unicorn and Centaur, and my phone notifications are loud. There we go. Sorry. So in the month of November, the crafting live streams, since the holidays are approaching and we are creative equestrians here on this channel, I figure a lot of us are going to want to be making gifts for our loved ones for the holidays. And crocheting a scarf or a dishcloth is a very easy project to do, and it's a nice gift to give family. See, so like if you make little washcloths, you can tie them up in a little bundle, and you can use, I haven't tied it, well, yeah, I did tie them in. So this is like what a little crocheted washcloth would be. And you can use this as an exfoliating washcloth. You can make a larger one and give them as dishcloths for people, knitting them in whatever colors their kitchen or their bathroom is. So I make these out of cotton yarn because cotton, you can just like throw it in the washer on hot and throw it in the dryer, and then everything's fine. So there's the cute little package. So if you're crocheting and then you get to the end of your washcloth and you decide to just keep going, then it becomes a scarf. Now this is not as long a scarf as I would make, and I left the ends out because we're going to talk about how to weave in these little ends at the end of this. But imagine this like twice the size, and this would be a little scarf. And you can make it as thin or as wide as you like. Okay. Excuse me, I'm burping at my dinner, y'all. How rude. Okay, so today we're going to go with two different views. I'm going to keep talking for probably like 5 to 10 minutes of the live stream, and then we're going to really get started. And I may go over like materials and things like that until more people show up in the chat. But once we get a bunch of people in here, then I'm going to put the computer, because I'm doing this from my webcam. So I'm going to put my computer on the table here, and then I'm going to be in front with the lights on it so you can see an up-close tutorial of doing the chain stitches and doing the stitches that will make this lovely thing right here. Okay, so if you have not visited my blog, it's at unicornandcentaur.com, and there's like only 3 pages to the website. It's like the home page with everything on it, and then the blog, and then the contact form. And the blog is where you will find updates to the live streams. So the day before, on the live streams on Wednesdays. So on Tuesdays at unicornandcentaur.com, you'll be able to find a blog post. If you didn't do this already, you'll be able to find a blog post that details everything you need to join in on the live stream. So if you're showing up here with your knitting, hey, thanks. But next time, next Tuesday, go to the blog to find out what you're going to need for next Wednesday's live stream, which we're going to have our special guest, Adriana, next week. So tonight's just me. Oh my God, like my neighbors are having a fight right now. Can y'all hear that? Is anybody watching in the chat? Can you hear my neighbors fighting? Y'all, it is windows open weather. Please behave. And Anyway, this is a yarn that I would recommend for scarves. It's an acrylic yarn, and acrylic yarns can sometimes be really rough. Leonie, knit. I'm doing crochet tonight. I thought about doing knit. I love knit so much more than crocheting, honestly. But crochet is so much easier to teach. And eventually we're going to be making horse ear bonnets. So like the ear bonnets that go on a horse underneath the bridle to protect their ears from insects and dirt. And those are all crochet patterns. So we need to get good at crocheting first. So we are crocheting tonight. And if you're making a washcloth or a dishcloth, I make those out of cotton yarn. You can find these at like Walmart or Joann Fabric or Michael's or whatever your craft store is. They will have some kind of type of this. I get it on a big old cone too. This is like $2 or $3. This is like $10, depending on where you are, I suppose. And then you need a crochet hook, and it depends on what size your yarn is. Oh, this is why I wanted this label over here. I went over this on the blog, but if you have not seen that and you don't know, if you already know this about yarn, I'm sorry, I'm going to be babbling about yarn for people watching on the playback. But there are labels on the yarn that tell you what color the yarn is. It tells you, or is that the right way? There you go. It tells you what color the yarn is. Black currant is this one, and it tells you the weight of the skein. And then there's this little legend here, and that tells you if you're knitting, you'll look right here, and it'll tell you what size knitting needles to use. And if you're crocheting, you look at this one because it's like a little crochet hook, and that'll tell you what size crochet hook. And that's a suggestion. If you use a bigger crochet hook than suggested, it'll knit up a looser fabric. And if you use a smaller than suggested, it'll knit up a lot tighter. So, and this was like the scarf I made. It's a very short scarf. It's a sample. Don't judge me. So, oh my God, this is pretty much like cherry Kool-Aid. And if I spill it on this thing, I'm going to die, even though this is really nutty. So that's why we're doing crochet. Eventually, we're going to be making fancy ear bonnets for our horses with little crocheted unicorn horns on them and stuff. So tonight, I'm going to be doing a tutorial. We're going to learn how to chain stitch and how to do the double crochet stitch with 2 different views. So, queen the scarf on fleek, as the kids would say. I don't know. My son is 12 years old, and he is always telling me that I'm cringy. To finish off the project, you need a yarn needle, and that's a really thick, fat needle that has a big, fat eye on it that you can get a piece of yarn through, obviously. You can't use like a little sewing needle. And then a little pair of scissors. Yay! Because at the end of the project, you have these long strings that you have to weave back in. And that is where your scissors and your yarn come into. Oh my God, I'm just babbling now. So once you've found your right yarn or your right yarn and your correct size needle, then you can start working on your project. So the idea is we're just going to make washcloths and scarves for everybody we love for Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever holiday you celebrate. Of course, that's not all we're making in November. Should I give away spoilers? Like what we're going to do? We're also going to be painting. What else? Oh, I don't even have the schedule in front of me. Anyway, okay. Hey, Jay Boney's here. I'm about to start into the tutorial, and we can continue to chat. Let me bring this down here. And I'm going to look on my phone. So I'm going to have a way to look. No, I need it over here. Where is me? Where is me? Okay, I think this is going to be good. I'm going to have to watch this on the thing. So I have my needle here. Is this in the thing? Oh, we need more light. That's what we need. That's what we're missing. We're missing light. Okay. We are missing light. And I need to look at this like this. Oh my God, I'm going to put my phone here. We're going to have like an infinity war here. Okay, so oh my God. Y'all, I'm a mess. Okay, so here's what I have right now. I have this Karen Simply Soft yarn, and it is acrylic, and some acrylic yarns are really scratchy, but this one is really soft, which is of course why it says Simply Soft. Haha. I make hats and scarves out of this. So you just start pulling off the yarn, and now you've got it in this area here. And wait, which one does it say we use? It says to use a size H. This is a J. Oh my God, my neighbors are super loud. I may have to like close the window. Here is a size H. Always forget to switch my Zookeeper account. Oh, haha. Yeah, sometimes if I don't know your name or your alt account or whatever, then yeah. Oh my God, it's so weird to watch this right here. I'm gonna have to move that. What am I gonna do? No, I'm gonna put it over here. That's crazy. You guys, I need a better setup than this. I need like a real camera. I need a real camera with oh my God, Joanna, pray for me. Okay, here we go. Okay, so and you can still see it off to the side. Y'all, I'm dead. I'm such a weirdo. Okay, you're gonna start. Hopefully you're right-handed. If not, you can just sort of reverse all the instructions. So you're gonna take in your left hand and hold your yarn in the palm, like down the palm here. Oh my God. Oh my God, what are they doing out there? Okay, so you're going to take the yarn in your palm, and you're going to take your two fingers and wrap it around. So you've got your yarn and you wrap, dang it. Okay, so now we've got our yarn like this. Now we take this from the back and we just tuck it under this side over here. I'm going to do this a couple of times, so y'all don't worry. So we pull down on that. Now we've got this little loop up here that we can stick this through. I don't know if the lighting is that good. I'm behind myself. I need to like scooch in. Hang on. All right, y'all. We're going to fix this. Nobody panic. Nobody panic. Oh my God. In here, lamp. I love lamp. There. Oh, y'all. Okay. Okay. All right, hang on. I got to set up this thing. It must be I know what it is. It's like, okay, y'all bear with me. Okay, now here we go. So I've got my hook and I've got my yarn. Let's do this again. Okay, so again, take the short end of the yarn in your hand, wrap it around your fingers, and then pull that through. So this loop that you've got in your right hand now, that's your loop. And then you pull until you've got your little, see, we've got our loop on the end now. I'm going to do that one more time, and then we're going to chain stitch. So this is the first thing that we are doing. Yarn in the palm of your left hand, wrap it around those first two fingers, and then take the yarn and tuck it back under, and that is your loop-de-doop. Okay. I need to go outside and tell my neighbors they are live on YouTube because this is ridiculous. Okay, so now you should have a needle here or a hook here with two strands coming down. One is short and not connected to anything. That is your tail. And then the other end, which is connected to the yarn. Chain stitching is what you start off with in crocheting. Like the chain stitch is going to be the bottom row of the scarf. So on the first edge that was made here on this scarf, the bottom is made of chain stitches. And then this first row right here is the first row of double crochet stitches. So then this is like a particular stitch. Oh my God, there is a cat hair on this. My cat Cherry Blossom laid on this earlier. Y'all. So this is your first row of stitches. This is your second row of stitches. But it all starts, you first have to chain through what you're going to start with. And so the number of stitches that you chain on, it is dependent on how fat you want your scarf. We're not going to do too many for the purposes of this tutorial. So you hold it in your left hand. Some people hold the yarn, excess yarn in their left hand. I do that for chain stitching, but then I switch over to holding with my right hand. It's really whatever works best for you. So you keep your chain, you hold on to your, with 2 fingers, you hold on to the tail of your yarn. And then with 2 other fingers, you hold on to the top. So you're holding your, can we see it? Am I in the thing here? There we go. Hello, young man. We are doing a crochet tutorial. So you've got your the tail end of the yarn in your thumb and ring finger, and you've got your the yarn that goes to your skein in your first 2 fingers. So you take your crochet hook and take it around the yarn, and then with the hook part, pull it through the loop that you have. So to do that again, you may have to adjust your fingers, holding with the bottom. Yeah. And then pulling through it, pulling through. So this makes, see now I'm going to do a couple of more and then I'll show you how it makes these chains. So again, holding the tail end in these 2 fingers and holding this end, wrap around and pull through. And I usually have to adjust every few stitches, wrap around, pull through, go around behind it, twist it and pull. There you go. Now I'm going to readjust, go around behind it, twist it and pull. Around behind it, twist it and pull. Now you look, we have these V-shaped stitches on here, and these are our chain stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 chain stitches. Isn't this nice? Sorry about my username. This is my son's account. Who is this? Oh, and can you hear me? I'm like behind the computer now. Young man, do I know you? Are like people on alt accounts tonight? Y'all got to tell me who you are. I'm going to put the timestamp when we started doing this so you can see when we do the chain stitch. So I'm going to put a couple of more chains on this. So again, the tail end I'm holding between my thumb and my ring finger, and then my first 2 fingers are holding up this part. So in front of that, I go around behind and up, twist the hook, pull it through the loop. Now let's do all that again. From the front, I go around behind the yarn, twist the hook, and pull it through the loop. Twist and pull. Go around behind, twist and pull. So now I've got a fairly decent chain here. So the front of the chain stitches make little V's. Oh, no. Oh, just trying to make a scarf for my mom. Oh, okay. That's awesome. Well, it's nice to have you here. I figured for this live stream, I would get some people that were not like usually equestrians, because we usually do horse-themed crafting live streams on here. Excuse me, I'm taking a drink. And we are working up to crocheting horse ear bonnets. We're going to crochet little hats for our horses. That's how extra we are on this channel. Oh, so I actually need a couple more than this. So I'm going to see, here's me doing it with the other hand, and I just hold it in this hand, and then you can just wrap it around the needle or around the hook and do it. So there's 2 different ways. Here's the other way I do it. There you go. So, and that's me holding the yarn in my fingers and going over my first finger here for tension. So here's my little chains. Here's what the back of the chain looks like. It's got these little bumps, and the front of the chain has these little V's. So that is making the knot and doing some chain stitches. So now we're going to get started. Now it gets exciting. Hee. So now we're going to count back 4 stitches from the end. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's this 4th stitch that we're going to stitch into. When we stitch into each of these loops, we're going to stitch into the top bump of the V as we've got it on its side here. So to do the double chain stitch, or the double crochet stitch, sorry, to do the double crochet stitch, you have to wrap that yarn around your hook to start with, and now into the 1, 2, 3, 4, into that 4th stitch, I'm going to put my needle into the top bump. So now it looks like I've got 3 little yarn overs there. Now I'm going to take this yarn again that I have in my right hand, wrap it around that hook one more time, and now just like doing a chain stitch, I'm going to pull that loop through that. Now I'm back to 3. We're still not done with our double crochet stitch. Now I'm going to take this, wrap it around again, twist and pull it through 2 of the stitches. Now I've got 2 left. This is what it's looking like now. Then I take this again, wrap it around, twist it through the remaining 2, and now I'm back to 1. So this makes a funny little, it's almost like a D shape that we're going to see here. So then I'm going to take the yarn again. Now that is one of the stitches. And then the 3 little chains we did over here, that's going to count. That's going to be like your edge part right here. And that kind of counts as one. So let's tighten it up. Don't let it get too loose. Don't be like this. Here we go. So the next one we do, that's one whole double crochet stitch. So let's do another one. We start, I've got all my work in my left hand, my hook in my right hand, my yarn going through my 3 fingers of my right hand and then over my right finger for the tension. You can also do this by holding the yarn in your left hand. It doesn't matter which hand, just whatever you're comfortable with. This is how I like to do it. So I wrap that yarn around. And now we're not going to go into this big old stitch right here that we made that last double crochet stitch on. We're going to go into the next bump. So not this one. We're going to go in underneath that next bump. And now again, we've got three pieces of yarn on the hook there. So then we take that yarn, wrap it around and pull it through 1. And now we've got 3 again. Then we wrap it around again, pull it through 2. Now we're down to 2. And then wrap it around and pull it through the remaining 2 until we're down to 1. You're going to start to see that as we go down, it creates like a 1/2 inch of crocheted fabric here. So I'm going to adjust my tension by pulling the knot a little bit, pulling the loop tighter. Again, holding my work in my left hand, yarn in my right hand, hook in, I sort of hold my hook in both hands, and then the yarn over my right index finger for tension. So before I start the double crochet, I'm going to wrap that yarn around. And then again, not this one, but this one, the next bump here, that first bump. It's really confusing when you first start, and then wrap it around, pull it through 1. It's super confusing when you're first starting. Wrap it around, pull it through 2, wrap it around, pull it through 2 again. See, now we're getting like a nice little thing going on here. Haven't crocheted in a while. This is just as confusing. It is confusing until you start really moving. It's the chain stitches. Once you get the chain stitches, like, oh man, this is easy. Starting the double crochet is the hardest part. It looks so weird and confusing. Do not let it discourage you. So wrapping the yarn around, and now we're going to go into not this loop that we've just gone into, but the next loop. So now we've got 3 again. And then we wrap around, pull through 1, wrap around, pull through 2, wrap around, pull through 2. And let's do another one. Wrap it around, go through the top bump of the next stitch, wrap it around, pull through 1, wrap it around, pull through 2, wrap it around, pull through 2. Now look at that. Oh my gosh, it's starting to turn into a thing. So wrap it around. Now go through the next bump. Let's see. See how we've got the stitches here? These are our chain. These are the V's of our chain stitch. V, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going into this bump right here. Boom. Wrap it around, pull through 1. Wrap it around, pull through 2. This is why we're practicing. Uh-oh, crap. This is why we're practicing with something small like a washcloth, because if you mess up, it's no big deal. You can just start over and do it again. Pull it all out and start a new, or, just try a different yarn, try a different hook, wrap it around, go to the next stitch and go under that bump, wrap it around, pull through 1, wrap it around, twist and pull through 2. Wrap around, pull through 2. So wrap it, get it under the bump, wrap it, pull through 1, wrap it, pull through 2, wrap it, pull through 2. See, now you've got this little thing. I should have done even less. I'm a fool. Okay, here we go. Wrap it, yarn over, go under the 1, wrap it over, go pull through 1. If anybody who is watching is trying to follow along and wants me to slow down or stop and explain it again, I can do that. Go under that next bump. We're getting to the end now. So like you can, this is the 3 yarns, wrap it over, pull through 2. There we go. I'm getting close to the end here. It looks like I've got 1, 2, 3 more of these stitches I'm going to be able to do. So yarn over through the top bump of the next stitch, yarn over, pull 1, yarn over, pull 2, yarn over, pull 3. Okay. Then yarn over, next stitch. Oh, come on, the top bump of that next stitch. There we go. Yarn over, and pull. Okay, I have one more right here because we're not going to like try to go into the knot or anything like that. So we do a yarn over, go through the top bump of that last stitch. We've got 3 on here. You can hold the tail taut if you need to. This is so exciting. Yarn over, pull through that 1 stitch. Yarn over, pull through those. Yarn over and pull through those. We have made it all the way to the end, and this is what we've got now. Yay! Yay! Okay. So now it's time to go on to the next row. Now, instead of just 1 bump on the second row, here are some things that we need to keep in mind. On the second row, we're going to go through, see, here's the V's of the stitches on the top, you can see. So on the next one, we're not going to go through 1 loop, we're going to go through both loops. Do you see that? We're going to end up going through both of those loops. I'll show you really slow as we start. But before we do, we have to chain up the next one. If we just start going in right now, it's going to go inward. It's not going to chain up a nice neat row. So we have to chain stitch 3 stitches. So remember how we do that? We wrap around, twist and pull through, wrap around, twist and pull through, wrap around, twist and pull through. And now this is what it looks like. So it's got a little tail on the end of it, but what that's going to be is going to be the side of the next row. Everybody see that? Yee. So now to get started on the next row, remember we do the same thing. Now we're going to double crochet stitch some more. We yarn over. Now we don't go into any of this part, and we don't go into the stitch that's right here on the end. See how these, you can separate these into individual double crochet stitches. This one corresponds to the end stitch over here. So we're going to put our hook through the whole stitch underneath there. So now we've got a whole stitch and then 2 stitches right there with the yarn coming off to the side. Again, we're going to do this a bunch of times. So then we yarn over, pull it through with 3 on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that is going to be the edge of our new row. This is exciting. I hope you are all excited. So now yarn over, and then not into this stitch, and not into one, into both. Yarn over, pull underneath that. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through, pull through 2. So there we go. Yarn over, go to the next stitch all the way under. Yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through. We are making a scarf, y'all. Okay, so now again, I've yarned over, stuck it underneath that next stitch, yarn over, and yarn over and pull it through. See what we're looking at now? It's going to look like a thing in a minute. Yay! You can, if you have not already gotten your supplies, you can find all of this stuff at discount stores like Walmart and Target, and but you can also get them at craft stores too. So sometimes at craft stores you can get coupons and then end up getting it cheaper than at Walmart. So just check out that. They always have yarn sales, buy one, get one, and that kind of thing. So, but you can spend a lot of money on yarn, but there are some inexpensive varieties available as well. If you're going to make a scarf for someone, I would suggest getting 2 balls or 2 skeins of a particular yarn. That way you know you have enough. And if you have some left over, like maybe you can try to make, gloves or a hat or something out of the extra, or some sort of accessory. So as you can see, each chain stitch corresponds to a chain stitch on the row below. So you should be able to count stitches and they should remain the same. So if you're doing this and you end up having less and less, if it's getting smaller and smaller as you go, it means you're probably not chain stitching. You're forgetting to chain stitch on the end before you go back through, or you're skipping over one of the stitches on your way. Oh my God, I'm doing this too high. You guys, hang on. Let me show you this again. Local thrift store gives you a whole back of yarn. Oh, that's awesome. Yes. Okay, so this is what I was showing you just a second ago. So each double chain stitch corresponds to one above it. So if you are experiencing it getting smaller and smaller, then you're probably not chain stitching an extra row on the end before you get started, or you're skipping stitches on the way down the row. So I yarn over, hang on, let me get my yarn back, over my finger, in my hand, and over my index finger. So you go under, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. And honestly, this is a great craft gift for holidays, because you can be sitting, once you get, okay, see, okay, let me not talk and let me show now. So now I've got this here. Clearly I've got one more double crochet stitch right here that I have to knit into the top of. So let's yarn over, knit under that one, pull through, knit, pull through, or wrap it and pull through. So now this is the point where you might be tempted to turn it, but no, there's this extra bit right here. So you have to knit into that as well, or crochet into that. I keep saying knit because I've been a knitter for years and years and years. I'm much newer to crochet, so I keep saying knit. So I'm going to yarn over, and then I am going to find, like, see, this right here is the stitch that this double crochet stitches into right now. So I don't want to go into that one. I want to go into this next lump right here. I'm just going to push the hook through there, and now I can yarn over, come through once, yarn over, come through two, and then come through two again. Now it might look a little funny right now, but then we turn our work. Oops, if your needle or your hook falls out, don't panic. Usually with crochet, the loop will stay up nice and perky, so you can just grab your needle or your hook, dang it, and put that right back through there and start it again. But this is what it's starting to look like. So now we've got 2 rows of double crochet stitch fabric, and now we're ready to start our 3rd row. So remember what we have to do. We have to chain stitch 3 chains. So wrap it around, pull through, wrap it around, pull through, wrap it around, pull through. So now we've got this extra little doohickey over here. Oh my gosh, did I mess this up over here? Did I do it? Oh my God, y'all, what if I did? This looks jacked up. I think I messed up. Okay. But the good thing about that, again, if you mess up, you don't want to give somebody a jacked up Christmas present. So if you mess up like this, what I would do with this right here, I'm going to keep going for the purposes of the tutorial. But if this is not supposed to look like this. It's supposed to look like this end where we have, stitches here, and this edge row of stitches here. So here we've got stitches here, and then I don't know what I did, but that's not right. So anyway, I'm going to fix that now. I'm going to yarn over and not go into this stitch, but into this one. So if I messed it up, I would just rip all of it out and absolutely start over again. So there we go. Yarn over, go under the next stitches, pull through. There we go. After a couple of these rows, I'm going to turn the computer back around, and I'm just going to finish out the live stream where you guys can kind of see my face, and I'm going to sit here and crochet in front of you, and we're going to talk about weaving in the ends when you're finished with a project, and some other things to consider. So at this point, we're just practicing our double crochet stitch. So you wrap the yarn over, go to not this one, but the next one, put that under there, and go through one, then go through two, then go through those last two stitches till you have one left on the hook. Then to do the next stitch, again, not in here, but in here, yarn over, put it through there, yarn over, pull it under that stitch, yarn over, pull it under two, and yarn over, pull it under three. So once we can see what we're looking at here, yarn over next. If you're making washcloths and I suggest making 3, so you don't just give a person like one washcloth. I would suggest making 3 of them. So keep a stitch count of how many stitches that you made your project, how many stitches across plus 3 for the end part of it. So that when you make the other washcloths, they all end up being the same size, so that they're not all asymmetrical and funky. Unless asymmetrical and funky is your aesthetic, and then maybe you want to do that. I don't know. So find a yarn if you want to start with, something like this cotton yarn that you can get in big spools. That's great for washcloths and dishcloths. And then something like this soft acrylic. Not all acrylics yarns are soft. This one happens to be. Okay, so I went to this next to the last row here, but I still have to go through that last one. So this is where we get weird again. So I gotta go over here, and not in this stitch, not in this one, but in this next one, I gotta go up and under. I'm sorry I keep going out of frame, y'all. We're going to solve that in just a second. There we go. And if it seems confusing at first, it absolutely is. So yeah, this side is funky because I messed up that corner, but don't pay attention to that. Do as I say, kids, not as I do. So you can see now we're sort of working, we're going up now, and it's becoming a thing. So I'm going to turn the computer back around for a second. Whee! Oh my gosh. So hang on. I gotta put my lighting back. I don't know who's still with me. I've only got like 3 people in the live stream so far. Hopefully we'll have more people watching this on playback. If you've been watching and you're watching on the playback, bless you. I love you. This is your free crochet lesson with your crazy Aunt Michelle. Okay, so what am I missing in the chat? I prefer Walmart yarn over Hobby Lobby. I just prefer wherever I can afford it, honestly. Like, I would love to be able to pay like $20 a skein for some alpaca bamboo yarn that's ethically harvested and from, happy alpacas who own their own businesses. And I don't know, asymmetrical and funky is definitely my aesthetic. Same, not always intentionally. So this is what it now looks like. I've got this like little piece of fabric. So going at it from this side, at this point, and now I have to chain 3 for the edge. 1, 2, 3. Oops. Where's my light? Give me some light over here. There we go. That's a little better. There we go. We don't need that. That's obnoxious. Why? Stop. Okay. Did I do 3? I have to count now. 1, 2, 3. Yes, I did. So I yarn over, and then not into the end one, but into the next one. It's like learning the steps of a dance. So there's several steps to the double crochet stitch. There's learning how to put the yarn over the hook, learning how to twist and pull the hook under to make another loop, and then knowing when to pull through 1, when to pull through 2. Yarn over again. So it's a bunch of little things, but I promise you that if you go back, I'm going to leave links to my blog post about this in the description box. So anybody watching this, you can go back through. There are video tutorials there. They're not mine. They're from Happy Berry Crochet. You can go subscribe to that channel, and there are tons of tutorials. So everything that we have gone over tonight, you can be like, what the heck was the chain stitch thing? And you can go to my blog post, and there's the tutorial for the chain stitch. And there's a tutorial for the double crochet stitch. So you can go and practice those again, because this is all about practice. Don't be upset if it's ugly at first, or it's stupid, or you did the corner wrong. It's okay. when you're learning something like this, like you're not doing anything that can't be fixed. I can pull, if you take the hook out, you can just pull all of this right back out, and you've just got a piece of yarn again. It just becomes yarn once more. And then you can start over. The thing that I used to tell, like when I used to do lessons on my horses, that when my students would get frustrated that they weren't good at trotting yet, or they were having trouble with their balance, or were having trouble remembering the things that I told them from a previous lesson, I would tell them, well, there's good news and bad news. Then the bad news is you need practice. The good news is practice is really fun. I mean, riding horses, right? But the same thing here with crochet. Even if you suck at it, then okay, the bad news is you need practice. But the good news is practicing is really fun. Crocheting can be very soothing. And honestly, a simple pattern like this, where it's just the same thing over and over again, the same sequence of steps over and over again, I find it very soothing for my anxiety. So I try to always have a knit or a crochet project on hand nearby that is the same stitch or same stitch pattern over and over again, so that I can pick it up when I'm feeling stressed or I'm about to have a panic attack, and I can have something physical and soothing that I do, that my brain has to focus on doing this over and over again, and doing this over and over again. And if I get lost, I have to now concentrate and focus on which part of the stitch I'm on. And it helps distract my anxiety brain from whatever it was freaking out about. So this is one of my self-soothing tactics. So again, I have made it to the very end, and we can look at the stitches on here. So we have, they make rows, and if you stretch out fabric, you'll see, oh, there's some light, thank you, that the rows all correspond to each other. So I still have this one on the end to make, and instead of this one, we're gonna go into the top of that next stitch. So I yarn over and pop it on under there. There are several different ways to handle this last part. Like some people loop it up, go like right into the loop of into the empty space itself. Some people go through two of the yarn pieces of the stitch there. So now I've got that. Now I have it. So I'm going to turn my work and again chain 3 stitches. And at this point, we're just deciding whether we want a washcloth or a scarf. I guess you decided that when you chose your yarn. All right, hang on. 1, 2, 3, yes. So then I yarn over, and now I'm going to go into this stitch right here. So, okay. My grandmother used to make these, y'all. Doing this, like seeing this stitch pattern is so nostalgic for me. My paternal grandmother used to sit and watch soap operas like all day long. Like in the morning, it would be game shows, you know, The Price is Right and all that kind of stuff. And then in the afternoon, she would watch her stories. And so she'd sit in her chair. She had this rocking chair, and she had her little crochet bag, and she would crochet these scarves. And she had bags and bags and bags of them that she would sell at craft fairs. And anyway, so when I was knitting up that scarf, I'm like, oh, I miss my mama. But when you're done, you can also put some fringe on the end of the scarf. You can customize the scarf with whatever colors. You can find a funky color yarn. Just make sure you feel it. If you're going to make a scarf for someone, y'all, for real though, really feel the yarn that you're picking out. Don't just grab something because it's a pretty color or because it's cheap. You really need to feel it. You're asking someone to put it up against their neck, which is one of the most sensitive parts of their entire body. So you have to make sure that it is something that people aren't going to want to like dye and scratch it off their bodies. That's not cool. You want them to want to wear your scarf. You want them to want to wear your gift. Okay. And if you're doing washcloths, I would recommend doing dishcloths first. And then you can get like whatever colors people have in their kitchen. Or if it's like for Hanukkah, you could get blue and white and do blue and white ones. Or if it's Christmas, you can do red and green ones. With me, everything's like purple and teal. So There, that's me. I'm just going to keep crocheting for a little while. Actually, it's 10:43. Let me go ahead. Once I finish with this row, I'm going to grab the other piece here and show you guys how to weave in the ends of your project. And again, here I am on the very last one, and I go right through the little teeny bump. Sometimes I have to like manipulate the stitches. I have to actually move them around and find which one I go through. And if you make a mistake, you can pull it out and start over. Okay, so I've knit this little bit right here. I've just about got a little washcloth done. So I like pink and teal. Pink is not my favorite. I fully respect people who love pink, and I totally get your color preference because I have my own, but pink is not for me. It never has been. And it always annoyed me that like everything girl is like default pink colored, which is great. If you love pink, oh my God, it's like the world is made just for you. But if you hate pink, you can't go anywhere without being like, oh my God. Anyway, so no shade to my pink lovers, especially you. You know I love you, girl. Okay, so when you're finished, you'll have a tail of yarn from where you started the project and a tail of yarn from where you finished the project. And you can't give it to someone like that. Well, you could, but it's kind of tacky. So what you need now, obviously you've used your scissors to snip your yarn. And now you take your yarn needle. I have been playing with fire with this, y'all. This is my only yarn needle I have left, and I've had this one for like a year now. It's been my only yarn needle for a year. And I'm afraid that I'm going to lose it halfway through projects, and I'm going to have to go out and get some more. But I never remember to buy more when I'm at the store. This is my very last yarn needle. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the end of the yarn. Sometimes it'll get frayed during the course of your project. So all you have to do is do a little trim. Do a little trim, and that gives you a little bit more of a sharper edge. And then you thread your needle. Uh-oh, I done shredded it, y'all. Hang on. I'm like, ooh, yeah, I have a yarn needle that works. Okay, so you just thread it on there. And then when you're coming through here, you just sort of thread it in through where you take the needle and just kind of work it into this top row of stitches here. Pulling it through. Make sure you don't leave it like that, because then you're going to have a woodgy little end. You want to pull it out. Do your thing. Have your way with it. And then you can clip the thread. So clip it very close. Be careful. So now you've got the end of a scarf, and it looks like a normal scarf that nobody's going to go, oh, you didn't finish this. Okay. So we're going to finish this one, and then I'm going to have the world's shortest scarf. I did this to practice, and I used up the end of a ball of really scratchy lavender acrylic yarn. So like I would have to be desperate to use this. I don't even know what I'm going to do because it's not right. So once again, I have my yarn needle threaded, and I'm here at the top row, and there's like a row of stitches up here that you just find your opening and you work this puppy through here. And it'll kind of disguise itself. You want to make sure you get it like through the middle of everything. Then you can pull that off. And again, stretch it out. Trim your ends. Okay. And that's all there is to that, really. Sometimes when you wash them, when you give it to someone, you want to make sure that you tell them how to take care of it, which usually the care instructions are on the label as well. It'll tell you if you need to wash it in cold. Sometimes there's symbols, and I have no idea what that even means. So with the acrylic yarn, if you're giving someone a wool or knitting out of wool, the heat of the dryer can just absolutely melt everything together. Or it like makes the fibers sort of felt together. That's what felt is wool, knitted wool that's been heat treated. So it shrinks up and all the fibers sort of grab each other and becomes a felt fabric. So if you give someone a knit wool scarf and they put it in the washer and then the dryer, the heat from the dryer is definitely going to shrink it up and turn it into a small felt scarf. With acrylic fabric, if you're on a budget like me, you're probably going to get some sort of acrylic fabric. You can wash on cold water. You can probably wash on warm and it'll be fine too, especially if you get something on it like a stain. Um, and I wouldn't put it in the dryer though, because acrylic is a man-made fiber. It's not a natural fiber, and the heat of the dryer may damage the fibers. So I would suggest washing in cold water and then hanging dry. And that is how you care for that. Now the washcloths, these are made out of a nice sturdy cotton, so they can be tossed in with a warm wash load and then thrown into the dryer. And it may shrink them up a little bit, but it's gonna you'll be able to wash them a little bit. They're a little bit more sturdy for washing, is what I'm trying to say. So, and again, this is what I do with the washcloths. I made them a little bit small. So this is kind of a small package. I suggest you do 3 of them. And so you can fold them up and then wrap them up with a little ribbon. And if you're feeling really fancy, you can go to the dollar store and get some fancy soaps and stick a little fancy soap underneath here so that they've got some soap and a washcloth. If so they can like wash their face. I like these for exfoliating, like after I've used a mask on my face. If I have like this seaweed clay mask that I put on, and so it dries down to that hardness. And these are great for like just getting them really soaked with hot water and then using those to really get the mask off and exfoliate the skin afterwards. So in that case, like you could give these along with a mask of some kind. For someone, if you know them that well, and you can give them skincare. I don't know. This little corner here that I messed up down here is bothering me. All right. I only have 2 people left in the chat. Y'all, I thought this chat was going to be lit. I'm like, ooh, free crochet lessons. Everybody talks about how much they want to learn how to crochet. So I'll do a live stream where I lay out the blog post and I show everybody how to crochet. And then, I didn't look, this is what happens. This is not right. I didn't do the chain stitch. I was talking to y'all. So here's what I do. I pull it out until we get to where it's just this one loop on the end. So now I have to chain stitch. Oh, it's just me and you, I think, Joanna. I love you. Thank you for being here. So I have to do 3 chain stitches to make the outside edge. 1, 2, 3. This happens to me a lot, though. I'll do something that I think is a really great idea and it's really going to catch on and everybody's going to love it. And then it's like, wah, wah. And I'm like, oh, maybe my son's right. I am lame. I might have to admit it. Okay, I'm just going to keep crocheting on here for another few minutes. If you have been watching on a playback, I thank you for joining me. And I am definitely going to be filling out the description box with a bunch of information for you. So if you would like to continue the education that we had here tonight, and you too, Joanna, once I get off here, I'm going to go fill up the description box with a bunch of links and things like that. Oh, and if you haven't seen already, I got my new website up, unicornandcentaur.com. And if you click on the blog there, the blog posts are listed on the right-hand side. And every Tuesday, there's going to be a blog that gives you like instructions for the live stream for the next night. So next week with Adriana, we're going to be painting, and I am so excited. Adriana's going to come over, and we're going to have a topic, just like Tac Chat used to be. We're going to have a topic, and we are going to be painting. So next week, if you think you can't paint, join us next week, and we'll share a couple of different techniques and a couple of different tips so that you can at least be a passable painter and make something creative for people again. So every week we're going to be making things that can be turned into gifts for our loved ones. That's the theme of November's live stream. Also that are building skills. So this week we are building the skill of crochet. So eventually we can make horse ear bonnets. Next week we'll be painting because we like to paint saddle pads and helmets and all kinds of fun things. It's cool to paint stuff. Okay, I'm getting it into that last thing here. All right, it's 10:53. I might as well just like wrap it up early today. If there's only a couple of us, oh, there's 3 people now. Hi. Remember making my first beanie, I would do like 5 rows and pull half of it apart. Yes, that's part of the process too, which is why I suggest to people to put something on. Like, I like binge watching the Golden Girls or watching, I'll make a playlist of YouTube videos on subjects that I'm interested in, randomly. And then, okay, I got to do 3 chain stitches out here. 1, 2, 3, and then wrap it. But yeah, I'll put on a playlist of stuff or binge watch a TV series or put on a movie. And it needs to be something that I don't have to totally like watch and focus on everything. It needs to be something that either I've seen before, so I'm already familiar with it, or something that doesn't require a whole lot of um, watching. Like sometimes I watch the news. I watch the PBS News Hour. So I watch the news and I'll crochet or knit. But it's a good time to practice. And then you can rip it all out if you mess it up. But there will come a time where you'll get to a point where you're like, oh my God, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Which is why I suggest washcloth first, because the way this is, then you only, like this particular size, you only had to do like 9 correct rows of stitches. So even if you mess up a bunch of times, you're bound to get 9 correct rows in a row before you know it. So get some cotton thread and start there. If it was me, I'd get some cotton and get the recommended hook, and then also get some Caron Simply Soft acrylic yarn, so that you can, if you get good right away, you can go ahead and start making a scarf. I mean, right? So, all right, so we went over making the first knot, doing chain stitches as far as you need to do your project. We went over the double crochet stitch, which is the only stitch you need for this project. It's a complicated stitch, but once you get it and get all the steps of it, you just have to practice it over and over again until you can do it without messing up. And there were a few tips and tricks here and there for turning your work and doing the edges, but we also talked about weaving in the end. So I think I'm going to end it up right here. And thank you, Joanna, for joining me. And thank you, young man. I don't know if you've left us long ago. I don't know where all our regulars were tonight. I don't know. Zadel was trying to get a new job. So maybe he's working on, I think he got a new job. So he might be working on Wednesday nights now. I don't know. But like Rebecca and Kelly and Lauren and Evie and all, I don't know where all our regular folks are tonight, but if you guys are watching on the playback, we missed you in the chat tonight, and I hope you enjoy the crochet tutorial, and I will see you next week for painting with Adriana, and that's the end of our stream tonight. Bye.